That's when they came and burned everything to the ground. They killed my son. They had their way with the women, and they made all the men watch. And I will never forget those visions. And I will never forget that feeling and what it felt like to have my whole world collapse before my eyes. So what exactly is a past life? It's essentially our soul having a previous experience in another body before coming into this body. And when you think about it from a spiritual standpoint, the soul, the thing that's operating this meat suit, is eternal, right? So that means there has to be some previous experiences before coming into this body. So this all started about, I would say 5 years ago. I was being called to start jumping in the ocean around that time, and for some reason I was just being called to go to the ocean at 5 o'clock in the morning. Like the sun wasn't even out yet. So when I looked up into the sky, the clouds were covering the whole sky. The whole sky except where the moon was at. So the moon was in this very specific place, and there was clouds all over. Couldn't see the sky at all except for the moon. And when I decided to look up at the moon, I can feel this energy coming down into my third eye. And I started doing this with my eyes. Like I couldn't help it. I just started kind of like blinking really fast, and that's when it started to happen. I had this clear vision. It was like watching a movie, and as I was watching the movie from this first person point of view, I was feeling everything that was happening. I was this native warrior, and I was this man, and I was just looking around my village, and it was so peaceful, and there was like no worries in the world. And I look over and I see my horse. My horse is at peace. I see my beautiful wife, and she walks over with my little son, who's about 2 to 4 years old. And I felt what it felt like to have the perfect life, the perfect harmony of masculine and feminine, and have a loving family and having a safe environment for my people. I remember looking at my woman, and I remember her looking at me with just such awe, just like so lucky to have this strong man who's a protector and provider for her family. And this is where it takes a dark turn. So, and all of a sudden I hear in the distance like thunder, like, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I heard the war cries. I don't know how many men there were, but there was these cries of yee. And this is what I heard in my vision. And there was essentially another tribe coming to fuck shit up. And it happened so fast, I didn't have time to react. They came and killed my little son right in front of my face. Just getting the feeling again as I'm saying this, and they're lighting everything on fire. Everyone's screaming. All the little kids are being killed. And I just remember in that vision of just being so shell-shocked. Just like everything's just happening in slow motion, and I have no control over anything. And yeah, they gather up all the men, and they make all the men watch their women being, can't say the word, but rhymes with grape. We had to watch all of our women get graped by the men, and just having to watch our world crumble and fall. It's so gut-wrenching to even speak about it still. And yeah, I remember getting the flashes around that time, and it got so intense. I had to kind of like come out of it because it was just so much. And yeah, that was my vision. And people might be saying like, well, it's just a vision, doesn't mean it's true. And after that vision, I started to really gather clues that this is actually could be pretty legit, and it feels super legit to me. And I think all these coincidences are not just coincidences, they're signs from the universe So my Mexican side, my grandpa is actually part native. He has a percentage of his blood is a native. And I was raised in a place called San Pedro, which is home to some native tribes. And that's where I was raised. And I think it's no coincidence that I was born in an area where there was a lot of natives on the coastline of California. Another clue, when I started piercing my ears, it was around the time I had my past life vision. I was wearing feather earrings a lot. I was like super obsessed with feather earrings, and that was just kind of also a clue for me that, hey, there's a reason why you like this stuff. It's kind of a remembrance of who you are. Another clue is I dated this woman when I was around 28, and I remember I was in her home, and we were just hanging out, chilling together, appreciating each other's energy, and she gave me this look. Like I've seen this look before. And as I gaze into her eyes, I go deeper and deeper into presence. And I get this flash as I'm looking at her. Like her eyes stayed the same, but her body changed and my environment changed. And I was in the hut of when I was a native warrior. And I had that flash, and I was like, oh, this is that look that my native wife used to give me of like, man, I'm so lucky to have this man in my life. And it hit me. I was like, holy shit, I think this is the woman that I was married to in that lifetime. And we kind of had, over some conversations of like, oh yeah, like we've definitely have met many times in past lives. Essentially my twin flame. And yeah, that vision was that when I kind of like transported back into that teepee, it was clear. It was like I time traveled for a split second. Also, I remember telling my sister that I had this past life regression, and she was like, oh man, Justin, you're so lucky. I wonder if I was native. And right when she said that, I was like, yo sis, your name is Cheyenne. Like that's the most native that's the most native name that you can have. And it's funny, her name was actually supposed to be Justina, I believe. And the night before she was born, my mom told me and my sister that she had a dream of the Pocahontas jumping off the waterfall from the movie. And I thought that was just such a cool coincidence. And also, I drink this very powerful medicine called ayahuasca, and it allows me to kind of see spirits when I'm drinking this medicine. And I kept seeing these women like come out of nowhere and like look at me from inside the house and through the mirrors, and they had like such long, beautiful hair. And I was kind of scared at first, and I just remember one time I was like, you know what? I want to feel them. I want to know why they keep popping up. And they're essentially like, look, like we're your ancestors. We were the people like in your tribe, these women, these really powerful women. And they kept saying to me on my ayahuasca journeys of, hey, you're taken care of. Like we're here taking care of you as well. And I remember having this one specific experience, which was freaking insane. It was around the time where I was looking for my manhood. I didn't understand what it meant to be a man. And I was doing a lot of ayahuasca ceremonies and doing combo and just surrounding myself with people that are helping me with my spiritual journey. And I did this ayahuasca ceremony, and I was like, man, what does it mean to be a man? And this spirit came over my head. I was laying down, and when it was this chief, just huge, just like powerful chief, this native chief. And I look at him and he goes, I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, you've done so much work on yourself, like energetically, psychically. You've done so much work on yourself. Been diving into your traumas. And it's been hard and it's been rough. And it's been a fucking storm. But you've stuck it out. And he had this stick with some stuff on it. And he puts it onto my shoulder. And he goes, now you can call yourself a man. And it was almost like an initiation from my ancestors of like into manhood. It was kind of like I created my own rites of passage.
So why do people have past life regressions? I can only speak from my own personal experience. So from what I'm understanding, it's from each past life, there's something to learn and to grasp from that past life vision so I can embody in this lifetime. So as the native warrior, that's the archetype that I get to really study and to understand and to start to embody in this lifetime. So what I think as a warrior is, like, no matter what the warrior goes through, he finds a way. No matter how hard life gets, he stands strong. He's the protector, he's the provider. He will die for his loved ones if at any point in time, like, he is the warrior, the strong, steady rock. And that's something that I've been integrating over the past couple of years, and it's actually been quite nice to actually hear that from certain people when I'm in ceremonies and in plant medicine ceremonies. They look at me like, man, Justin, you have such a warrior spirit. I can see it in your eyes, and it feels amazing to hear. And yeah, so that is my story of my past life regression as a Native American warrior. If you want to learn your past lives, here's a quick tip. All you have to do is ask. Ask and you shall receive. And they can be very intense. So there's some people are not ready for them spiritually, because when you see them, you are going to re-experience what you experienced during that time. So hope that was entertaining for you guys, and have a blessed day.